Down the years it's been a ride.
Bye, Grandma.
I'm sorry I
Love you, love you, love you.
Tell your mom I love her too.
no. As we go we seem to fight, but baby that's just the way we love. And only in the dark do we see our sunlight. Home is where we were.
The best flight ever. We slept the whole time.
It's time. Now this time before we go, raise your hands, raise a toast. Time is something special, just like love before it starts to snow. It's crazy how the years have gone. Memories of the drug we're on, but darling, just remember that there's never a goodbye. There's forget. There's never a goodbye.
No, you start.
I always start. Okay, so we made it. We're in Saigon. Good morning, guys. So we're finally tackling this Q&A. It's been a long time coming, but we're in a different destination. We're not in Vietnam right now. It's still somewhat of a secret destination. One clue, I've been here before. Have you been here before?
Never.
New place for Jazz. We're gonna get right into it. The questions, okay? Because we got Grandma with us kind of babysitting Georgia, and it's been difficult to do.
Yeah.
So,
Let's go.
okay, so it's hard. It's got to get back into like the Vietnamese mindset. You know, we've been away for almost a week. So, okay, Vietnam.
Easy. I'm there.
You're there?
Yeah.
You're back in Da Nang? You can taste the food? Okay. The big questions that we get, the main ones are what do we do for work? Why Vietnam? And some random vegan ones that people just kind of throw at us, which is kind of funny.
A lot of vegan ones, actually.
Basically, is it easier for us to be vegan in Vietnam, or why do we go vegan? But anyway, number one, why Vietnam? So many people say, you guys have traveled here. Why did you choose Vietnam?
I don't know. My answer to that is always like, why not? In a sense, Sean had been to Vietnam before, and I hadn't. And we were thinking, if we did teach English, we know that Vietnam, there's a lot of teaching jobs. Also, we wanted we'd both been to Thailand before. Sean had lived in Thailand before, so we wanted somewhere new. And Da Nang in particular, we were doing a lot of research on, and it was a very big hotspot. Many people said it was a great place to live. Has a main airport, which is important to us because, I mean, it wasn't the do-all end-all, but we knew we wanted to obviously travel quite a bit while we were here.
But Vietnam specifically was just simply because we wanted to teach.
Because we wanted to teach, and Vietnam is quite a hotspot right now.
Yeah.
Like, many people are going to it. Everybody coming or going is saying how much they love it. It's not like super packed yet. Like, it's not crazy busy everywhere. I mean, some spots, but just overall it seemed like a good spot for work, to live, to everything. And to be honest, we didn't know how long we'd stay. We'd be like, yeah, we'll try it for like 3 months, 6, and we literally just don't even have any idea when we want to leave. We love it.
Yep. So the next big one is what do we do for work?
Okay, so yeah, lots of people ask us that actually.
More you. They want to know what you do.
Sean teaches. So I was like going to teach, like we both got our teaching certificates, and then when we got to Da Nang, I had like an interview for a kindergarten job, and the schedule was just kind of crazy, and I like got a little bit panicked seeing how much I'd have to leave Georgia. So I just sort of decided that I would just look for online work and not teach. So that's what I did, and now I work for 2 different companies, and they're based out of the States though. So everything that I do is 100% online, which is sort of like admin work, like I guess sort of a virtual assistant, as many people would call it, for like ease of like explaining a bunch of things that I do. It is a lot of hours. Like I work about 40 hours a week usually still.
Yeah. It's picked up big time. A big goal for us was before coming out here was also to teach. I think we'll have to take a time out right now. So time out, back at it. A little refresher.
So I work for 2 separate companies based out of the States, and it's all 100% online. So I probably work 30 to 40 hours per week. So it's basically full time. But the bonus is that I usually do it when George is sleeping, or I leave for a few hours, either in the morning or in the afternoon. And George just hangs with Sean, doing whatever.
It's great.
It honestly is perfect.
Something we talked about before coming out too is maybe if we could somehow create online work, so which would allow us to be remote. kind of what we're doing right now is be able to go different places and still take work with us and be able to travel around. So we just kind of situated ourselves in Vietnam and haven't left yet. So,
Yeah.
but we're trying to take advantage of doing it now, things like this, or when we went to Hong Kong. But we'll do a more in-depth video, we promise. We've been saying it. We'll do a more in-depth of what you do exactly. And for myself, yeah, most of you guys know I teach. I teach at a school or a language center in Da Nang City, and I also teach online. I was doing a tutoring gig with a girl for her IELTS for a while, but that stopped now. So just online and
In school.
in the school. So
Vegan.
first, and vegan. There's like, how do you just like knock this off in 2 seconds? Like,
Is it hard to be vegan? It's like sort of hard. I mean, I think in the beginning we were like, no, it's okay. There's a few places here and there, but it's like more inconvenient now. Like you can't just run down the street and grab something. I guess we can go grab Indian food at the Indian restaurant.
yeah.
But it's like in Vietnam, there's like food carts everywhere and we can't eat at any of them.
It's different types of vegans, so this question is difficult to answer. Is it easier being vegan? Because there's unhealthy vegans and then there's somewhat healthy vegans. You can be plant-based. So our diet has changed from your convenience type foods that you can buy at any grocery store at home. So those little pizzas or fake meats, or you can go get like vegan, any dessert, any vegan cheesecake, carrot cake, chocolate mousses, all that stuff is easy to get back home in the Western world. It's not easy to get in Vietnam, which is a good thing. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. We're not tempted by those things here. So I would say we eat more plant-based here. Our fast food is like the little carts on the side of the road that sell fruit and veggies. So the convenience of being vegan isn't as easy, and all the vegan restaurants that are here are mainly Vietnamese. So you're just eating Vietnamese vegan. You're not getting those special smoothie bowls and chocolate peanut truffles that you can get at like places at home.
The spoiled aspects of being vegan.
But those aren't necessarily, well, smoothie bowls are good, but like the unhealthy vegan stuff that is tempted at home or makes it easier for people to convert going vegan is not here.
Right.
Those aren't easy to come by, but you can eat healthy plant-based nuts, seeds.
But it's not necessarily that we miss them. It's just very convenient.
Yeah.
And quick.
Yeah. I'm kind of happy we don't have them.
Sort of annoying because like George wouldn't eat those anyway. So
overall, we eat healthier here.
for sure.
We don't have the processed foods that tempt us like at home. There's a couple things that we eat that are like crackers, or if you want to call rice processed.
Yeah.
But that's like, I would take that over any of the other ones. So, okay, so first question.
How long do you see yourself staying in Vietnam, and do you guys see yourself settling down back home or abroad? Oh,
Good question, Andy.
we legit have no idea how long we'll be in Vietnam for. We haven't, and I know like that's a really lame answer to your question, but we don't plan to leave anytime soon. We really like it, and I think the whole settling down aspect, we have like a very different opinion on that. We think like what does settling down mean? Like we're pretty settled. I think to some people settling down would mean like going to Canada, getting a mortgage, finding like a career you want to be in for 35 years, and that's settling down. But to us, settling down doesn't mean you have to just do what everybody else does, and whether or not you like it or not. So like settling down, I think we're pretty settled. Whether or not we're here or on some other awesome little island. I know what you mean by settling down here or abroad, and like we're open to both. Like we're like open to living abroad for the next 10 years, of course visiting home, or who knows, we might end up back at home, and that's fine too. Like we don't really have an agenda, literally no agenda.
Yeah, some of these we might do more in-depth videos on after.
Yeah, okay.
Just so you guys know if we skip through.
Princess.
Ricky.
Hey guys, what's up? What made you guys decide to live in Vietnam? Okay, we covered that one. Can you please explain the whole visa run thing? And 3, not to sound so dumb, but being vegan, what do you eat that gives you protein, iron, and calcium? Almond
Maybe
or
we'll
soy
touch
milk?
on that one after with the other vegan questions. We'll kind of group them together to keep it organized. So the visa run thing, what's a visa run? This is what we're doing right now. A real quick synopsis. A visa is a permit that allows you into a country. So every time as a Canadian, we're not from these different places, so we come to Vietnam, we need entrance or permission to be allowed in, depending on how long you stay. So we have a tourist visa. So we come in, they give you a stamp or a permit that allows you in the country for a certain amount of time. could be a month or 3 months, and when that expires, you must leave the country. You can't stay. So every 3 months, we have to leave Vietnam and renew our visa. So we reapply for one and then come back in. So we call it a visa run, or that's the name of it, a visa run. You can go to any bordering country, you can do a bus trip, anything. We just choose to fly to a different country because it's cheap to do that.
And fun.
And fun.
Yeah.
So that's a visa run.
Nicolette Wynn. When is the next baby coming? Sometime within the next year. Sometime within the next year. How long will you stay in Da Nang or Vietnam? We touched on that one.
Okay.
Where would you like to go next? Oh man.
We're here.
Here where we are.
Here where we are right now.
Yeah.
Go next to live. I'm not 100% sure, but to visit, our number one destination we both want to visit is
India.
We really want to visit. I know that's kind of crazy to some people, but we've always wanted to see India. So, or where we are right now.
Hung Win. What do you guys miss the most about being carnivore? Would you eat it again as a cheat?
So do we go into vegan now?
Yeah, so nothing about being a carnivore. The only thing I wish we would have done so long ago is become a vegan a long time ago. Yeah. Would you eat it again as a cheat? And no, never. Like, no. I think a cheat is like eating the fake meat or something, eating like unhealthy things is a treat. But like because like being a vegan like very quickly becomes an ethical thing to think to eat an animal isn't a cheat. It's like a disgusting, really sad thing to us. Like I can't imagine eating one of these little chickens running around here. Like I can't imagine it.
So if we were like given, a one chance, we're like, okay, you're okay to do this one time, what would you eat if you could? And
that's, I just like literally don't want any meat, but if I could have something, I would have cauliflower bites that taste like chicken wings.
But you said before that you would eat chicken wings.
Yeah, chicken wings would be that
was like Jazz's like favorite food.
Hot wings. Bomb. But
me, I don't care about meat. Like again, like you said, once you step out of the bubble kind of eating it, I'd never crave meat, and even I can appreciate the smell.
Hi, baby Peachy. Where's your plate? Where's your hand? Is it hot out there?
Hot.
It's hot in the sun, isn't it?
Hot.
Hot. A heart. Heart. You want some more piña? What does the big daddy horsey say? What does the little baby horsey say? What does the nana horsey say?
So you said hot wings?
Yeah.
So hot wings 100% if you could eat anything?
Yeah, but I don't like saying if I could eat anything. I would never eat it again. But my favorite thing, I'll say my favorite thing before was to eat hot wings.
Okay, mine would be seafood.
Seafood, okay. Sydney Kolbaba. Hey guys, fellow Canadian here. Just wondering what the process of teaching overseas is like.
That's a long one. We'll do an in-depth video on the processes of teaching in Da Nang, because it is a little bit different than other cities. So.
Oh, braless and bananas again. Hi. Do you have any plans for schooling Georgia? For example, will you return to Canada so she attends mainstream, or will you world school her whilst traveling? I know she's being taught now, but when it comes to academics. Oh man, that's like a big question. Luckily, we have a few years before we have to think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a few years before we have to think about that, but we've thought about it a lot. Like, and to be honest, I don't know what I would do just yet. Preschool and kindergarten doesn't really matter to me. Like all of the things you learn there, you can learn. And people say, yeah, but what about the social aspects of it? She does play with a lot of kids. Like there's loads of opportunity for her to play with kids. So that doesn't concern me, but hi! Okay, new spot. Sorry if this isn't clear, but you know how I am with the camera. I don't know, I'm really weird about school. Like, I really liked school, so I get why kids do, but there's also, I just think that there's better ways. There's better ways to teach your kid. I don't know, it just bothers me to think that every single kid has to be put in a classroom just to sit there, and if they do something wrong, like speak out, or aren't exactly like the other 30 kids in their class, they're labeled as bad or being in the wrong. And I totally don't think when people say, oh, got to get them ready for the real world and blah, 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 doesn't mean you have to take away their entire childhood and there isn't another way to teach them. I don't know, there's a lot of, and it's funny for me to say that because I loved school, but when I see like so many kids now in school and they're just like, oh, they're acting out or they're being bad or they must have ADD or all this crap, I just think, no, like, I just think that kids aren't meant to sit in a classroom for hours upon hours a day and given so much information that is probably not going to be useful to them later on in life. Or I'm not talking about kindergarten and learning their colors, just school in general. And I'm kind of blabbing now, but to answer your question, I don't know what we're going to do for school. For the first few years, like, I know I would homeschool, and I don't know what that entails yet. Obviously, you have to follow a curriculum. You can't just teach your kid about the grains of sand in the coral. Like, I get that, but I know there's curriculums you can follow, whether or not, and I would say that whether or not we were abroad or at home, 100%. And I wouldn't put them in a local school wherever we were, because to be honest, a lot of times those aren't the best. An international school, you can do international school, but it's, again, the whole like just schooling system would be the same as at home. And by the way, like, international schools abroad, for like a 4-year-old, they start at like sometimes 10 grand a year, which is so wild. But anyways, that would just be like putting my kid in school at home. So moral of this huge rant, which I'm just thinking out loud now, is I don't know for sure what I'm going to do yet for school, but I think it would be homeschooling. Yeah. And I also appreciate the fact that many kids who are homeschooled in a couple of years say, yeah, I want to go to school, Mom. I want to go to school, Dad. And I get that. So one day if she does want to go to school, like, of course she can try to go to school. But anyways, we don't have to cross that bridge yet, but we think about it a lot. I think because a lot of people ask us, which is totally fair. Okay, let's see if there's another question here. Suzanne Standish would like to know more of your working life and how it differs from working in Canada. That would be one for Sean, because he works in Da Nang. My work online is the same as it would be anywhere. I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
The next 3 questions are about teaching.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what is Suzanne Standish, right? Hi, Suzanne. Would like to know more of your working life in Da Nang and how it differs from working in Canada. Good question. I think that's a loaded question too. It's like not something we can just kind of answer in a quick 2 or 3 sentences. A lot of these is like triggered kind of ideas for future videos to make, so we'll kind of do a more in-depth and answer these better, because I would want to know this kind of stuff too. Like, well, how does it differ from Canada? I think the long and short is mainly because they're both new fields. Like, teaching is not something I have a background in. I got a certificate before coming out here. We both did to teach, but we aren't teachers, and Jazz is in a whole new field herself. I would say more, it just gives us, or we're doing something more on the lines of what we want to be doing or what we enjoy more of. And it offers us a lot more time right now, which is really, really benefit. That's the biggest thing, is it just gives us more time to do, be together as a family, do the things that we want to be doing. But be more specific to the field. I think we'll touch on that more in a future video than go too in depth with it right now. But mainly just the time, the freedom, the flexibility of picking your own hours. My job has more of it, and the school has more of a structured schedule, but I teach online as well, which I can make my own hours, so I choose to do that in the evenings when Georgia goes to bed, so I'm not missing out on time with her. Same with Jazz, she does some time during the day, but then most of the time is in the evening, so it allows us more family time, which is a huge benefit. Whereas at home, we would be working 9 to 5, coming home at night, slugging away just to make ends meet. So yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. So from Hung Win, he really emphasizes the hung in there. For your Q&A, do you guys enjoy teaching EL, which is English language, in Vietnam? And what's the difference between schooling in Vietnam and back home? Whew. Yes, I thoroughly enjoy it. Would I go and say I love it? I think love is a big word to use for work, but I really thoroughly enjoy it. Yes, 100%. I teach all different ages, so anywhere from high school to kindergarten. What's the difference? Well, I was never a teacher back home, so I can't really comment on that. I can only gauge or say anything because I was a student myself. But I would say one huge difference, or I noticed, is the bonding or the relationship between students and teachers. I mean, everybody has a favorite teacher back home and one that you get along with more than others, but not to this extent. The biggest thing I'd say is the bonding between students, like the closeness, the relationships that are formed with students, where they invite you to their homes, they invite you to their birthdays. They're, without sounding or tooting our own horn, it's like we're God to them. Like they just think we're the greatest thing, you know. They really, there's a lot of affection that goes on, and maybe that's the same with kindergarten kids back home and their teachers. I'm not sure. I was never one of them, but that's something that's unexpected to me. I didn't really realize coming in, and the thought of ever one day maybe leaving, you know, you're saying goodbye to these relationships that you're forming with these kids, and I see myself coming in as a new teacher, taking over other teachers from the past, and I wasn't accepted right away. They kept wanting their old teacher from before. It was tough to kind of like fit in like the new teacher, you know, and now I feel that bond with them. And even coming here for the month, you know, when the students found out, it was like a kind of a grim mood, you know. It just, everyone was like, oh, okay, you're coming back, right? Like, no teacher, no, don't leave, no. So those kind of things. But overall, yes, really thoroughly enjoy teaching here so far. Sorry guys, we're so disorganized. This is from Pang Vu. I hope I'm saying that right. What is that? Is that Vietnamese? Pang Vu? Do you eat hot pot? Yes, we've eaten hot pot. It was a vegetarian hot pot in Hoi An. How do you guys feel or act if you are with friends there or elsewhere that they aren't vegan and you guys are? So first one is beer vegan? Some, not all beers are vegan. You have to find that out. There's actually a website called barnivore.com, and you just type in any alcohol name, so wine, spirits, beers, type it in. 9 times out of 10 that they're in the system, and it'll come up vegan friendly, and you know you can drink it. So things like Guinness, I can't drink anymore. It used to be would be still my favorite beer, but they use fish scales or fish parts in the process of making it, so I can no longer drink Guinness. Yeah, just go to barnivore.com, type it in, and it'll let you know if it's vegan friendly. You'd be surprised how many beers and alcohols are use animal parts. If you are with friends or elsewhere and they're not vegan and you guys are, how do you act? How do you guys feel? I think that's probably the biggest thing, is the social side of being vegan, but friends, family, like nobody that we know or close to us is vegan, so everyone kind of adapts to our eating style when we get together, especially families. So back home, whenever we get together with Jazz's, you know, mom or dad or her sisters, most times people cook a vegan dish. So everybody kind of brings something to the table. And as far as friends, yeah, same thing. Like, I think everyone's really curious about it and wants to try it and thinks like they almost know, it's like, if I eat this vegan food, oh, it's probably healthier, so I want to go the healthier route, but they just don't know how to make something, or they don't know where to begin. But friends at home, everybody's really open to it. Everyone's always saying, okay, maybe we'll make this pie. I know Jazz's sister last year, she made like an apple pie that was vegan, which is really awesome. Her other sister, Kenzie, always makes vegan dishes. Except one time we got it confused and we bit into the non-vegan dish. She made 2 dishes, one was vegan, one was not. I bit into the non-vegan dish, so that was, if you want to call it a cheat, but it wasn't, I didn't realize what was happening. What's the next one? This is from D. Lay. Georgia is so adorable, I love her so much, so do we. Is this your first time living overseas? No, this is not our first rodeo. Probably why when we say things like the truce of living in Vietnam, it's kind of like it doesn't really affect us, these things. I personally have lived in Thailand for the better part of 3 years. I also lived in Philippines for about 6 months during that time. I spent a few months in Cambodia. Jazz and I lived together in Nicaragua for 6 months on where my mom's house is. Oh, hi, Peach. Thank you. I lived in Australia for 2 years. Is this for me? Is this for, thank you. Are you showing me your little sand pail? So yeah, and Jazz herself has lived in the UK. She lived in London for 6 months. And that's it. So yeah, quite a few places. Vietnam is now another place that we've lived together. I spent about 6 months, I wouldn't say living, but researching and planning trips. And I used to work for a tour company, so I worked in Greece and Turkey. Spent about 6 months there all together. So the world is like home for us, really. Like this, I don't really feel that attachment to one place anymore. Yeah. So yeah, we've lived overseas before. Anissa Chow, your video editing skills is very professional. Aw, thank you. I'm not professional though, I can tell you that, very amateur. Did you take any video editing courses or just learn by yourself? No video editing courses. I just used iMovie, which is free with my MacBook. Before we came out here, I had been laid off from work, so we had a few months before we came out. While we were doing our TEFL courses to teach English, we're getting our certificate. I also spent countless hours at night just learning tutorials on how to edit properly, and I have a love for it, so I always like to play around and put video clips in and see how I can kind of merge them together. Something I did way before YouTube ever came along, so no sort of skill set, or I didn't take anything in school, just self-taught, I guess, but still lots and lots to learn. I'm not one to give any tips or tricks. It's just kind of what I think might work and see how it goes. Kind of like a trial and error, I guess you could say. Do you always only drink the coconut juice and throw away the meat? You can use, oh no, never. No, we as much as we can, we try to eat the meat. That's like probably the best nutritional part, with all the proteins and fats, the healthy fats in it. We just we'll drink all the juice out of it, and then get whoever we are or wherever we are, get them to cut it, open it up for us, especially for Georgia, because we want her to get those healthy fats and proteins in her. Okay, here's one from Bao Sang. Love Bao's comments, always comments on the videos. Thanks, Bao, you're a good guy. Sean and Jazz, this is for your Q&A. What were the biggest 3 mistakes you made because of not knowing what you know now? We're getting deep, Bao. And how did you fix them once you knew more things? Maybe vegan, first of all. I wish we knew that earlier and knew what we knew now. We would have been eating vegan longer. But and what is your favorite Vietnamese song? And to prove that you like it so much. Oh boy, this is embarrassing. Well, to be honest, I don't know any Vietnamese music other than this one guy named Sam Tom, only because my students know him. He's like a young generation. He's like the Justin Bieber, I guess, of Vietnam. So I only have heard his songs. I don't know Vietnamese music, but I can say recently I had taught a class online, and the topic was music, favorite music or favorite songs. So I had a class of students. They're all men, and we got talking. It was really fun, and the youngest guy was like 18 to the oldest guy was like 55. That's the cool thing about teaching online, is that the ages are all up the scale. But I asked them, I said, because karaoke is such a big thing, a big kind of a culture in Vietnam, but I asked them, what is your favorite songs? Every single one of the guys said that their favorite karaoke song to sing was My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. Everybody knew Celine Dion. I couldn't believe it. I had no idea. And I was proud because she's obviously Canadian. So Bao asks, what were the biggest 3 mistakes you made because of not knowing what you know now?
My biggest mistake in life thus far has been not going vegan earlier.
That's what I said.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, because I don't really
mistake in life.
like I embrace mistakes because it teaches you, it makes you better, right? It makes you like, I'm happy I did that because I wouldn't have done it before. I know back home, my mom can attest to this. I bought one of my first cars I ever bought. Was a lease. I leased it, but I put a down payment on a lease, a big down payment on a lease, which was a 4-year lease, only to get rid of it 2 years into the lease. So I just threw money away, which is a huge, but that was my mentality when I was 20 years old. So, oh, here's one we didn't get. I remember reading this one before, and I forgot about this one. Jolif's Abroad, which is another family that has a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And they asked, what advice would you give someone moving to Vietnam? What advice would you give someone moving to Vietnam? Good question, because this is something that we would have wanted to know before coming to Vietnam, and we just couldn't find.
I would think if you're coming with a family, just not to worry about anything, like you have everything you need.
Yeah.
Because we were thinking like, what do we need to bring? Do we need to bring extras?
Don't bring strollers.
Oh no, I would still say bring a stroller. No. And if ours wasn't broken, I would be using it. Because George went through a phase where she would just walk everywhere and the carrier's nice, but George is in a major phase right now where she doesn't want to walk anywhere. And I wish I had the stroller all the time.
Just know, like, any uncertainties that you might have is normal. We had them too. And that you can, they quickly go away when you get here. They quickly go away. Any fears, any worries, it just kind of go by the wayside. The moment you get here, even for us, as soon as we landed in Ho Chi Minh, it was like a weight lifted off our shoulder. We're here, and everything just kind of worked out since then. I would also say maybe contact a family. You know, I would say to someone, if you're going somewhere, moving to a place, contact someone that's there. Look up, someone that's already lived there, that's done it. They know best. they're the best ones to give you advice, not someone at home that's never been to the place. Just talk to someone that knows it and has been there, and especially an expat family, because their experiences are going to be different than talking to a local that lives there, right?
Tell them to go on expats Vietnam.
Yeah, you can always find Facebook groups too. Like there's 1,000,001 Vietnamese, there's Vietnam is awesome, Vietnam expats. Every city has an expat page. Go onto that page, add yourself, and just throw questions out there. And someone's bound to have asked it already or willing to answer it. They're pretty accepting. That's a good piece of advice too.
Yeah.
Expat pages, they're really helpful. And if you're coming with a family, if you're just a couple, it's different, but if you're coming with a family, just know that your baby will be worshipped. They will love you, they will love your child, they will eat her up. It's literally like, sometimes it's a bit overbearing, but they mean well.
Had a hard time
And yeah, you have like a little mini Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt with you all the time, so just be aware of it. That's it. What do you think? Cool, Mama?
Yeah. My shade's on, I'm ready to go.
I think we've answered the mom story if we haven't. Do you want to guess where we are? It's a beautiful, beautiful island. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you, George. Thank you so much.
Just pineapple.
Is there sugar in there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Good girl.
Just pineapple.